The rise in interest rates has been due to the gathering meltdown in the debt market, which the Fed and other central banks are trying to stave off by means of creating trillions of extra dollars or other currencies. A course of action that will lead to hyperinflation, that will, in turn, trigger a torrent of funds-seeking safe haven to flood into precious metals whose finite supply will result in a sector bull market of unprecedented proportions. And he's talking about silver. Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer, and folks, I found an incredibly interesting and informational article from none other than InvestorIdeas.com. This isn't even a website that's focused on silver. They talk about stocks, cryptocurrency, mining, games, esports, even cannabis, anything that has to do with investing. But 2 days ago, they posted this article titled Silver Market, Tiny Downside and Huge Upside. And the craziest thing about this article is that they get it. Usually when a site that isn't silver focused doesn't truly get the whole picture when we talk about silver, since they're pushing stocks and a lot of other things, but this article does. Let me show you some of the things they're talking about. Once silver gets above $30, silver is likely to take off like a rocket. They go back to 2011. They go into so many different things, and also talking about the undervalued aspect from silver relative to gold. It's just a really well written article. I'm so excited to share it with you all. And by the way, if you're new into the world of silver, welcome. This video could save your life. The silver stacking community is incredible. We are so welcoming. All we want to do is help people. If you're new, post a question in the comment section, and I guarantee someone will be more than willing to answer it and help you and guide you through it, because that's just what we do. We all are on the same team preparing for the inevitable. So this article says some pretty incredible stuff as well. They say, remember, this is an article that talks about everything from cryptos to stocks, everything. They say silver makes the most sense out of anything. That's very telling. Usually you would see a website that's silver related saying that stuff. But no, InvestorIdeas.com says this. So check out the first sentence of this article. At this point, given what is going on around the world, silver is regarded as probably the best value investment around, with very little downside and huge upside. It is still significantly undervalued relative to gold, which reflects the recent negative sentiment towards the precious metal sector that is characteristic of a bottom. So they hit the nail on the head right away. Very little downside, huge upside. It's very cheap, so there's not much to lose, because silver will always at least stay around $20 at worst. That's highly unlikely. I'm just saying that there's nothing to lose. Like, if you're investing into Bitcoin right now, or even gold, that's 85 times or 80 times more valuable than silver, more expensive, then yes. But silver is so cheap. Like Robert Kiyosaki, when I was on his podcast, he titled that podcast the number one asset that everyone can afford. If you guys want to go check out that episode, I was the special guest on it. But that's such a good statement. Nothing makes as much sense, and it's the cheapest. So anyways, the recent weakness across the sector has been due to a combination of a relatively strong dollar. It has been strong relative to other currencies, but intrinsically weak, and rising interest rates. I like how they threw that in there as well. We're talking about a website that has stock directories, sector ideas, a mining podcast, an AI podcast, cannabis podcast, crypto corner podcast. They're the ones saying this. It's beautiful. So, however, the rise in interest rates has been due to the gathering meltdown in the debt market, which the Fed and other central banks are trying to stave off by means of creating trillions of extra dollars or other currencies, a course of action that will lead to hyperinflation, that will in turn trigger a torrent of funds seeking safe haven to flood into the precious metals whose finite supply will result in the sector bull market of unprecedented proportions. Oh my gosh, that was the most beautiful sentence I've ever read. This guy words things so beautifully and he gets it. I gotta read that again. The rise, and by the way, he starts off, I like how he even says this. He talks about why silver's been low, a strong dollar, and rising interest rates. But then he says, however, the rise in interest rates has been due to the gathering meltdown in the debt market, which the Fed and other central banks are trying to stave off by means of creating trillions of extra dollars or other currencies. A course of action that will lead to hyperinflation that will, in turn, trigger a torrent of funds seeking safe haven to flood into the precious metals whose finite supply will result in a sector bull market of unprecedented proportions. Now to review the charts. We start with the 20-year chart, and that's the most interesting and useful as it shows the 2000s, or the great 2000s bull market that culminated in a terminal blow-off spike into a high in May of 2011. Let's talk about that. Why is 2011 so important? I'm sure most of you know, but there's a lot of new people that find silver. A lot of people are worried about what's going on, in the Middle East, and a lot of people are just trying to find different alternatives. And if you come across videos like this, I got to educate you guys. 2011 is when silver hit $50, or like 49 something. It hit that one other time in 1980. It was $50, which is the highest price silver's ever been. So 1980 and 2011. We're talking about something much bigger than $50. Don't have a goal of, okay, maybe silver could hit $50. We're talking about something much bigger than that. Triple digits could even be an understatement. Not saying that will happen next year or even in a couple of years. Some say this is a long-term investment. This is a long haul. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. And if you're in that for this reason, you're in it for the wrong reason, and you're going to get burned. I'm not planning on selling for 15, 20 years. Maybe I could capitalize off the top maybe in a couple of years, but the bigger picture, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. This was followed by a quite severe bear market that ended with the giant double bottom format that formed between 2015 and 2020 and can ignore the freak crash drop in the spring of 2020 because of you-know-what, which turned out to be a fooler move or a head fake. And what happened? Well, in March of 2020, silver got down to $11. $11. But silver was also the number one performing asset in 2020. It beat Tesla stocks, it beat Bitcoin, it beat gold. Silver was the number one performing asset. Gold was like number 5, but silver was number 1 because it was down to $11 in March and it shot up to nearly $30 the following, at the end of the year. It was insane. So after this deceptive false breakdown, silver broke out of its double bottom and rocketed higher in 2020. A move that is regarded, and that's what I was just talking about, as the first up leg of a major new bull market. And this being so, the reaction from mid-2020 through to the present is thought to be a giant bull pennant. And if this is indeed the case, it seems like a reasonable presumption given the extraordinary developments that are now unfolding. Before too long, we should see another powerful up leg that will be confirmed by a break above the resistance at that key $30 level. An event that will be expected to trigger a powerful advance that could be unprecedented proportions. And I like how he says that $30 level, and like he says right here, once it gets above 30, it's going to take off like a rocket. And I think it will, because there's so much resistance at $30 and $50. 50 is a whole nother level, but $30, think about it. In February 2021, during the Wall Street silver movement, they pushed it up to $30 and then it died down. If silver could break above that, think of how many people, your brother, sister, neighbor, mailman, everyone is going to be talking about it. Every news outlet, everyone will. It always happens, just like in February 2021. everyone does, and then they jump on board, and then we also have to incorporate the geopolitical stuff, and then you have to incorporate the dollar, and then by then who knows where the BRICS nations will be. I mean, there's so many variables, and I'm glad they also mentioned that. They said with all these crazy developments unfolding, before too long, be another powerful upleg. So they say before leaving this chart, we should note the overall positive divergence of the accumulation lines that make this scenario all the more likely. And see, I like that they're backing this up with evidence, with data. These aren't just assumptions. They're showing historically what has happened, right? They talk about the double bottom. This sharp advance in 2020 thought to be the first up leg of a major new bull market. And then they mention like when we factor in the gathering hyperinflation and impending total collapse of the current system, silver is considered to be the best value asset around, with huge upside from here. A break above the key resistance shown is expected to mark the start of its biggest bull market ever. So they're saying when it breaks above $30, we will see silver take off much beyond 50. And when it breaks above 50, the highest price it will ever have been, with a resistance lasting 50 years by then. I mean, or who knows how many. I mean, from 1980, the highest price that silver's ever been in is $50. Imagine if it happens next year or a couple of years, or I'm sure it could happen a lot sooner than that, but just imagine what silver would do. It would take off. But that's very dangerous. Very dangerous. Because if it goes too fast, then it will correct and it will go back down, usually to lower than what it started if there's no price stability. It has to gradually go up. You can't just see it go up, 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 because then it's going to go down, down, down. The price has to stabilize, so then when it does correct back down into overbought territory, it can stay. It won't just go straight down. So, anyways, on the 5-year chart, we can see recent action in much more detail. Following this crash from, the situation, this false breakdown in spring of 2020, silver rocketed higher, breaking clear out of the double bottom base pattern that we looked at on the 20-year chart. But since mid-2020s, it has run off sideways, down, marking out what is believed a giant bull flag. And the reason it's been doing this is that it's been marking time during an unfavorable period for the metals due to an advancing dollar index and rising interest rates. But as mentioned above, the extraordinary measures being undertaken to maintain liquidity and prevent a systematic lockup, namely vast amounts of new money creation using any excuse, the latest being war, guarantee a rapid trend into hyperinflation that must, of necessity, inflate the price of all assets with intrinsic value, including and especially precious metals. That's a great point. Anytime economic uncertainty, war, that's a perfect scenario. I mean, it's terrible to say that. It's not like we're hoping for that stuff to happen. It's just we expect it to, and we prepare for it. Some people are like hoping that some situations happen so their investment goes up. I'm not hoping that this stuff will happen. It's just obvious that the way we're going, so we have to prepare. So when these things do happen, we are not SOL. So right now the price is about in the middle of the bull flag. So silver and all things silver are viewed as the most attractive here. And we watch first for an upside breakout from the flag, and then the price to break above key resistance shown approaching at $30. Remember, guys, this is written from a website that also talks about the best stocks to buy, that talks about cryptocurrency. Like, this is insane. Whoever wrote this, Clive Mound, very, very, and this is what I like. He incorporates the real world with the charts. I always said if you really want to get a grasp on what silver's doing or even what it's going to do, if you can incorporate a little bit of both, because most people just look at one or the other, but if you combine both, you get a very good idea. So while we cannot rule out minor short-term weakness, which a lot of people focus on, the micro, uh, occasioned by further dollar gains and rising rates, which we know is not going to last forever, overall this looks excellent time for investors to busy themselves accumulating all things silver while they still can. Ingots, coins, the better silver stocks, and you could even enjoy becoming a silver buff by buying such things as pendants and rings. And while it may seem a little cranky, they won't find you so eccentric when their fiat buyers or fiat buys them nothing and you can't exchange items you're collecting for things you might require in the future, like food, which is another good point, trading and bartering. So I thought this is a very well written article. Obviously, this guy is very educated, and I'm glad that I was able to share this with you folks. This was written 2 days ago, so it's not like it was something written a long time ago. I'm always going to give you the newest, latest, freshest, most up-to-date, recent information. Make sure you subscribe. I'm doing a giveaway as we approach 100,000 subscribers. Make sure you subscribe. Let's get there. That would be, when we get there, it's going to be such a monumental thing, not about me, just for the community in general, because when I started, stacking was very small. 100,000 subscribers for a stacking channel was not realistic whatsoever. It was maybe 10,000 was like a massive channel, right? 10,000 subscribers for a silver stacking channel was like massive when I started. So anyways, yeah, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. We got some deals over at Miles Franklin. We have the 1 ounce Morgan Silver rounds, 209 over spot. And we also have 10th ounce 2023 gold maples, $25 over spot. And if you're going to buy gold, go with the 10th ounce. That's like the perfect size. That's about the size of like a Mercury dime or a Barber dime, if we're talking silver. But yeah, beautiful stuff. So yeah, anyways, send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know Silver Slayer sent you. If you guys want hooked up with that, make sure you guys like this video if you did like the video, and let me know what you think about this. Did you enjoy this article as much as I did? Anyways, yeah, thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.